Hey guys, this week we are playing catch up and getting a lot of your listener questions answered on a ton of different topics, so stick around. This episode is sponsored by Fiverr. Looking to turn your next big idea into a reality? Visit crapvegas.com/Fiverr to learn more. Josh, we've made it to episode 61. That's exciting.
Have we started?
No, not really. You want to start?
Yeah, let's start the show.
Okay, fine. Hold on then.
Welcome to the Crap Vegas podcast.
Vegas, here we come.
Vegas!
Here are your hosts, Chris and Josh.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 61 of the Crap Vegas podcast. I'm Chris. He's Josh. Josh, what's new?
Finally, it's the end of summer, and Chris, I think your kids are back at school, and our daughter is not yet. She doesn't go back for 2 more weeks yet, but feels like finally travel is over. So, story to tell you, this is going to be off the Vegas track. So, listeners, if you want to hear just Vegas content, you're going to need to fast forward like 10 minutes or so, probably, of this story.
Jeez, this is a very detailed, intricate story, it appears.
We'll see. So, our daughter was at camp, Chris, for 28 days in Colorado. And just to kind of give you an idea, so my wife had then signed up for an additional week at this same camp in Estes Park. That's a family camp. So the parents go after the fact and hang out with their kids and stuff like that. So we got there, we saw our daughter. We then took her to a condo that we had rented in Estes Park for 2 days. Well, the condo didn't have air conditioning. And it was
Which is very common in Colorado.
Yeah, but it sucked because it was high 80s.
Yep.
And there were all sorts of forest fires around. So, in fact, they had switched our location for this family camp from, we were supposed to be in covered wagons.
Okay.
Sleeping in covered wagons. Right. My wife was terrified of bears and all this kind of stuff. So they switched us because of these fires to the main campsite, the bunkhouses where the kids are and stuff. So we hung out with our daughter for a couple days in Estes Park. It was really hot. We were kind of worried about going back to the camp because we were, our daughter was kind of camped out. And so we started thinking, I wonder, even though we've already spent God knows how much money on this camp, what if we did we said, screw family camp, let's just go off to a vacation somewhere. And we were looking at resorts and like Vail and Steamboat Springs and things like that that we could do instead of this family camp. And we actually, and this is not meaning to plug our sponsor, but we actually thought to ourselves, I wonder if Michael Traeger could find us a nice spot.
I guarantee he could.
He could. In Aspen or something like that. And then we thought, no, we've already spent the money on family camp. Let's just bite the bullet and go. So we go back 2 days later to the start of family camp. And the way it works, Chris, is at the first night, and kind of give you an idea of what our situation was like. So all the people at family camp, all the families were in the bunkhouses that the kids use. And we had to share a bunkhouse, which had 20 bunk beds. I sent Chris a picture, and he's like, no, thank you.
Yep, I passed very quickly.
But they did have electricity, which was good. That was the only thing. But it was kind of in a horseshoe shape. So all the bunkhouses were in this horseshoe shape with the bathroom, which what they called the boathouse, at the far end. And there was a lodge across the way from us. And so we get settled in the bunkhouse, and we have the first night, they have us sign up for activities for the week. So I signed up for 3 all-day horseback rides, and 1 all-day hike.
Okay.
Chris is
very adventurous of you.
Wow, yeah. And I get up the next morning. I kind of have a headache. I didn't sleep very well. And this is the first day with the all-day horseback ride. And my wife and daughter were doing another activity. So it's just me on this horse. Out we go, Chris, on this horseback ride. And there's maybe 15 campers or so, and then our 2 guides, who I found out had never been on this trail before.
Okay.
This was supposed to be a 3-mile ride. By the end of the day, we had gone 15 miles.
Oh, so you just took the scenic route a little bit.
On horseback. I'm dying. I mean, I don't know how long it's been since you've ridden a horse.
A very long time.
It's been a long time since I've ridden
more
a
than
horse.
15 years.
Let alone 15 miles on a horse.
I'd be good for like a half, maybe 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, in 7,000 feet elevation and 85-degree weather in Estes Park, Colorado. It was not a... So I'm kind of dying at the end of the day. So I get back to the bunkhouse. My wife and daughter, their daughter comes up and said, me and Mom were talking, and we're wondering, is there a way we could just leave camp?
Absolutely. That sounds like the best option here.
Because she said, I had 3 weeks or 28 days of camp with my friends. She's kind of camped out, which I totally get.
I get to.
And I said, well, there might be a legitimate way we could do it because I think I have COVID.
Oh, jeez.
So we had to get special permission to leave camp. I had to drive into town, get a COVID test. Sure enough, I have COVID. So that night, I never went back to camp. I stayed in a hotel that night by myself, which was with air conditioning and everything. So that was like the best part of the trip.
Uh-huh.
My wife and daughter packed up. They went home the day before, like the next day. I stayed in Colorado to kind of isolate for a little longer, and then I flew home. But that was the end of our wonderful vacation, except that night when I had checked in the hotel. So the way it worked, I think I told you there was electricity in the cabin, but there's no other, like when you go out to the bathroom at night, it's pitch dark out there. You take a flashlight and you have to go to the far end of the horseshoe to find the boathouse. And my wife goes out. I'm at the hotel. My wife goes out at 11 o'clock at night. She opens up the door to our cabin. Across the way is the little lodge thing, and they hadn't turned out the lights yet. So she sees on the steps of the lodge, 20 yards away, a bear.
Oh, lovely. Why, Josh, I want to understand why a grown man would subject himself to this. What in the world made you think that quote unquote family camp was a good idea?
It's one of those things that's romantic in your head.
No, it's not. There's nothing romantic. Yeah, sitting in a cabin with bears and my kid. Nothing more romantic than that. I don't get it. There's like, as soon as you started telling me you were doing this, because I didn't know in advance.
No.
I'm thinking, what a fool. Why would he do this?
I sent Chris a picture of the bunk beds and it's like, what the hell?
Anyways, that sounded horrible. I would never want to do that. I'm sorry you contracted COVID, but I, like your daughter, would want to get out of there as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah, and nothing bad about the camp. It was a great camp. She had a good experience. She'll probably go back next year. This camp was a camp that my wife's dad went to 80 years ago or 70 years ago when he was a kid. My wife went there. Her brother went there. Nieces and nephews on that side of the family have gone there. So going to this camp in Colorado was a long tradition on their side of the family. I never went to a camp longer than a week when I was a kid. I don't know about you, but
I think same thing here.
Yeah,
no, nothing like that. Well, Josh, that sounds miserable. I'm glad you're feeling better. And yes, I would have chosen probably to go to Steamboat because I go there a lot. It's one of my favorite places to be. And that sounds like a much better option than family camp.
It did occur to me that last night when I was by myself at the hotel thinking, I wonder if I should drive to Blackhawk.
This is when you were COVID
when
positive?
I was COVID positive, yeah. I didn't,
Screw
so,
those people. I'll
But it
never
crossed
see
my
him again.
mind.
Okay.
So
It's amazing how much the dynamic has changed over the past couple years, isn't it?
It is. We did come to realize, though, I mean, I think we realized this before, but, and I'm thinking about, one of our great listeners, Joyce, and I think there are probably a lot of you that fit into this category, but I think this solidified that we are not really camping people.
Yes. I'm not either.
For vacations, we really need to stick to the 3.5, 4-star, 5-star properties, that kind of thing.
I remember it's funny because when you told me that you were going to be in Colorado staying at a place, the first question I asked you was, does it have air conditioning? Because as somebody that goes to Colorado a lot, I know that that's actually not a common amenity that they have there. You do get the temperature inversion at night.
Right.
So usually nights are very comfortable. But during the day, it can get a little toasty.
Oh, yeah, because you're up, 7,500 feet, whatever it was, and those UV, if it's direct sun,
It's strong.
Hot, yeah.
I get you. Well, Josh, I'm sorry for you. Glad you're feeling better now, but let's tell people how to get a hold of us. You can send us an email. That is podcast@crapvegas.com. You can go over to our Facebook group and join us there. That's crapvegas.com/Facebook. You can leave us a voicemail. That's crapvegas.com/voicemail. Or the easiest way is always going to be on Twitter, X. He's at Vegas Duffy. I'm at Small Whale 13, or the show page is at Crap Vegas. Josh, before we move along too far, I do want to remind people about cvhost.com. That's where you can go to our casino host database and leave us all your feedback on your casino host you have. We'd love to have you give us your submissions. I'll get those uploaded. Things are growing pretty quickly. We're getting a lot of traffic there, so we'd love to have you join us.
Which reminds me, I've still got a couple of my hosts to enter in there, so I'm behind on entering hosts. So expect a couple more from me.
I knew you hadn't given me all of yours, and I was kind of waiting on them, so I'm glad that you
I've been
recognized
busy.
that yourself.
I had COVID.
So have I. COVID, that means you were sitting in a room with nothing to do. You could have reviewed your host. Josh, I don't know if you know this.
I should have.
It is actually web friendly and mobile phone friendly, so you could get on there and do it right from your phone.
I hope it's web friendly.
It is. It's got to be web friendly, mobile phone friendly, tablet friendly. It's just friendly in general. I usually put a big smiley face next to everything I do on there.
You are Mr. Happy.
Yeah, that's me. Previous episode feedback. Josh, last episode we talked about our Vegas Casino Frankenstein situation. Yes. Got all sorts of feedback on that. People had some really good thoughts on it, but there were a handful of people that submitted other potential category ideas. So I thought it'd be kind of fun just to mention a couple of those and get your feedback on those.
All right, I love it.
Okay, let's start off. This is one I don't spend a ton of time at. Poker room. What do you think about a top-notch poker room in Vegas?
Well,
and let's just say for this, we don't have to worry about what we used last time, Josh, because honestly, I don't remember what I used.
Okay, good. I was going to say, if we're that's the hard part. Well, it used to be back in the day, I loved Planet Hollywood's poker room or poker floor area, I guess it is. Bally's is one I've played at a lot. That's when I go with my buddies. We oftentimes will do a sit and go a little poker tournament at Bally's. I was going to say the one at Aria. Like if I had to really do my Casino Frankenstein, especially because I had used cocktail servers for Aria, I might pick the Aria poker room.
I mean, what makes you like that one the most? That the fact that it's kind of on the main floor, but
yeah,
it's got
a
good
big
proximity
space on the main floor. It's right by Posh Burger. I know that's what you were thinking. I know where you're going.
Stop there, Josh. I don't know if it's on the big wheel, but I'm going to interject here.
It's not on the big wheel, so go for it.
Now, I haven't been there personally to confirm yet, but I saw on Reddit, which is pretty much the most accurate source of information, second to maybe Wikipedia on the internet, I saw that Posh Burger has been closed and is being replaced by another burger place.
Now, you told me that, and I kind of scoured around and didn't see that. So I would say that's unverified, but we will soon verify, or I will soon.
I was going to say, you're going to be there. By the time this episode comes out, you'll know if that is true or not. So I guess pay attention to next episode and you can find the dramatic conclusion of is Posh Burger closed?
There? Right.
But there at least was a rumor floating around that Posh Burger had closed, and I thought that was probably the most disastrous information Josh could ever receive.
Yeah, if it's gone, I mean, I can only have so much Moneyline pizza, so we'll see.
Okay, well, we'll find out. Next category, Josh, how about strip access?
Well, if we're going with our real Casino Frankenstein and one we haven't picked yet, I'd probably pick like Paris or Bally's. Not Bally's. Bally's is
Bally's?
Terrible. Yeah, I know. As soon as I said that, I was like,
do you really like walking through the promenade there and the whatever they call those shops?
I said that, I guess I picked the Cromwell. I haven't picked Cromwell, so I'd pick Cromwell for great strip access. How's that?
There's nothing better than going up the escalator at Bally's, going down an escalator, walking past Giordano's. It's amazing.
As soon as I said it, I was like, wait a minute.
Okay. If I had to use one I haven't used yet, that would be easy. I'd choose Flamingo. Yeah. I would choose Cromwell as well because they have fantastic strip access. You can get to the strip from your hotel room in less than 3 minutes. But Flamingo has great access as well. Next category up, Josh, VP bar. Where's your favorite place to play some video poker at a bar?
Well, I really like, we've talked about it on the show, but I really like the Palazzo High Limit Room that we spent some time at with Jack, and the, what is it? I can't remember the name of the bar, but the bar at Resorts World had a great time with Sean and Jack. Those are the two that come to my mind. Anything with you? I mean, Chandelier, everybody raves about. But.
Yeah, I'd use the Resorts World High Limit bar for my choice here. It's pretty good. I can't choose Palazzo, Josh, because the last time I played there, you made me sit at the little handicap accessible station that was 50 feet away from everybody else. I'm 2 foot lower. It was not working for me.
It's a great image, though.
It was. Next category, and these are getting very specific. Hotel room furniture. Not the room, the furniture in the room.
I'm going to say Luxor because it's got the old Bellagio hand-me-down furniture. No, not really.
That's just one you haven't used recently? Okay.
Yeah, well, that's actually true. If we were going with the real Casino Frankenstein, let's see, hotel furniture. I mean, Sky Suites, if that counts as separate from Aria, has great furniture. Wynn has great. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, see, I don't know. If it had to be true to our last episode where we hadn't used it yet, I don't know what I'd say. I'd have to rearrange some of my selections.
Right.
Yeah, there are a lot of places that have, you've mentioned a lot of the key ones that have really good furniture. I'm good with that. But here, this one, Josh, this is very specific to you. Anybody that listens to our show knows this is critically important for you. What about favorite bed/linens? And I'll throw pillows in there because I know for you, pillows is a really big deal.
It is. I don't use my own pillow now at Wynn, at Sky Suites, or I think if I remember right, I didn't use my own pillow at the Venetian Suites too. So I think any of those, I really have always liked the sheets and stuff at Aria, at Sky Suites.
I agree.
Yeah, those are fantastic. I think those are the ones. I don't care for I can't remember if I told this story on the show or not, Chris, but when we stay at Wynn, I use the blanket from the closet. Have I ever told you that before?
Really?
Yeah.
No,
I take off the comforter that's at Wynn, and they have just a cheapy old brown, green-brown blanket in the closet, and I order a second one.
And
I'm not needy or anything.
order. I can safely say in my 40 years of being alive, I've never ordered an extra blanket at a hotel. Ever. Oh, God, you're
I have
such
to
a
say,
snob.
can you send up a second blanket like the ones in the closet?
They don't get that request a lot, do they?
No, they don't. I don't know why. The Wynn comforter is too heavy for me, and because those rooms don't go down below 65, oftentimes I'm hot at night. So I like those little blankets they have in the closet.
I will say I don't love Wynn's bed. It's relatively comfortable. I hate those stupid pillows. That massive,
they have
oversized
huge pillows. Yeah.
What is it's more of a headboard than it is a pillow. I don't understand the point. I end up throwing them off the bed, and then you only have two pillows. I don't think their beds are that comfortable in the first place. Not a big fan of Wynn's bed. Everything else about their room's amazing. Rule them out for me.
Are you a one pillow guy or a two pillow guy? What's your...
Yeah, I mean, I can do fine with one. Two's great just to have an extra, but no, I'm good with one.
Yeah, see, when I just take... the big pillows don't bother me because I just go down to one pillow. So I just take everything else off the bed.
Exactly. Okay, next category, favorite bathroom.
I really liked the bathrooms that we had at Venetian, in those suites that we had at Venetian. I thought they were nice, kind of classic, old school.
The floral wallpaper from the 70s really
appealed to me along with your DVD player, right?
Exactly. Yeah. My grandmother would have been so happy with it.
I'm not picking Wynn, that's for sure, with their redone bathrooms. Those are not my favorite. I like the bathrooms in Sky Suites fine. I think the Sky Suites bathrooms are probably the nicest.
Yeah, they're probably the nicest. I'll tell you, I don't love the place, but I do like Resorts World's bathrooms and their suites. They're very nice. I
can't remember mine. But
they're very similar to Sky Suites. They have the freestanding tub and multiple sinks and all that stuff right there. So no, I always thought that was pretty nice. But tons of options in that category as well.
I didn't like, just to close on that real quick, I remember I did not like the bathroom that I had at Fontainebleau because it was the one that had the shower or the tub through the shower area, which was weird.
Yeah, you know who else does that? Now that we're talking about that, Cosmo has a lot of rooms. Yeah,
that's when I remember you said that, right?
You walk through the shower to get to the tub. I think
that's weird.
Like a jacuzzi tub. Even weirder than that, Josh. The jacuzzi tub, you can open like these little mini blinds, and you're wide open into the bedroom when you do it.
Right.
Which is even crazier. I've had that room many times over there. But anyways, you can look forward to that when you stay at Cosmo soon.
There we go.
So thank you for all those suggestions on potential categories and all the feedback we got on that. That was a lot of fun doing that last week.
It really was. I like that a lot. Except, Chris, what about shopping? You forgot best shopping.
Oh, I did. Joyce, I believe, actually submitted that category, and it's a good one. Although I never shop. I hate shopping, and most of the time Wynn gives me a shopping gift card, I don't even use it. So I'm the wrong person to say. I'm just going to pick a random one. I really like the Miracle Mile shops because they used to have a cookie store and now they don't.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say Planet Hollywood Miracle Mile shops.
And even though I used it in my Casino Frankenstein, I'm going to say the Forum shops at Caesars.
Okay.
I think is an easy choice. You could do the Grand Canal at Venetian too.
Yeah, or Wynn's Promenade or Esplanade or whatever the heck they call that.
Well, like
thing.
You said, I don't recognize any of the stores in there. At least
I do not belong in any place in there, so it's okay.
The kitten store.
Yeah, the kitten store. They like me there. Okay, moving on to the next one, Josh. We got a comment over on the CV Facebook group from Vegas Day Tripper. We were talking about being able to buy the 5 and 9 on the craps table in Vegas at MGM properties. It's no clearer now than it was 2 weeks ago when somebody said that you could, because Vegas Day Tripper says it's true. Vegas MGM properties allow buying the 5 and 9 again, VIG after win only. Shortly after that message, we get one from James saying, one thing I forgot, Bellagio did let me buy the 5 and 9 no VIG, but I had to ask. Aria said no, though.
Yeah.
So I don't know what is going on.
Well, I will hopefully have the nerve to ask when I play there on, after you've gone, when I play there and I'm at Sky Suites, and I'll at least give hopefully a firsthand report.
Yes, I will trust you. I mean, James is not very trustworthy.
No, he's not trustworthy at all.
So I just ignore most of the things he says. So let's get it straight from the horse's mouth, and we'll see what Josh says on the next episode. We received an email from Adam about Cosmo hosting requirements. He passed me along an email that he had got directly from a Cosmo host, Josh, so I feel like it's a reliable source unless he edited the email, which I don't think he has any reason to do that. But when he inquired about what they require as a craps player, they said for craps here, we look for about $350 average bet for 4 hours per day for a comp night in a terrace studio. They said they would book him at the casino rate and review on the way out what he actually qualified for. That seems extreme. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I like Cosmo. I like staying there. I know that their rooms are beautiful and I do like staying in them. But $350 for 4 hours at Cosmo just to get a terrace studio suite, that's a lot.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, my guess is that with the transition over to MGM, you'd be able to get a terrace studio easier than that once their systems are all merged now that they are. I mean,
I agree. I think that it's going to be much easier to get Cosmo suites for lower level players than it was prior to the transition.
Right. I recognize that terrace is a little bit higher. So, maybe, I don't know, $250, $300 average would seem to me to be fine.
I mean, having a terrace is nice. Everybody knows their balconies are amazing. Keep in mind, not all their balconies face the fountains. So if they want to, they can put you in a terrace suite that faces the mountains or heading down the opposite side of the strip. So they're not all equal. And this doesn't say a strip view studio. But that being said, yeah, it seemed a little high to me. I bet your mileage will vary on this one. And you can probably come in a little bit lower than that.
Yeah, I would think so too.
We also received an email from Victoria. Josh, last episode we talked about why we go to Vegas and trying to explain that to friends if they ask why we go so much. Here's what Victoria said. She said, "Hey guys, love the discussion about why Vegas is so special and why you go. It's something I too have a hard time putting my finger on, but I think it all comes down to the mental aspect of it. When I step off the plane, it just puts me in a state of relaxation and fun that I cannot get at home no matter where I go, stay, or play. It is a city similar to New York that just feels alive, and although I never will, I always go with the thought I might come home a millionaire. It's pretty awesome. Keep up the great work, Victoria."
I think that's great, Victoria. We could spend a whole show talking about why we like Vegas and how we would answer that question. I think Chris and I, it's just fun to even think about as you're talking about it. Just fun to, when I step off that airplane, it's like home. It's like, it's terrible to say that in a way, but it's just like, I feel like this is the place that I want to be. And I mean, it's some of it's no rules. Some of it's, like you said, stuff that you can't get at home, but it is just really, it feels just good for me to be there, knowing that I can be my true, authentic, degenerate self. I don't know.
No, I mean, I'm with you there, Josh. And stepping foot in some of these casinos that we play in all the time, it really does feel like home because there's just a level of comfort I think we have from being at these places so much where you know exactly where everything is. You know a lot of people there that you like and want to talk to and are friendly with. Yeah, it's just, it feels like home, even though it's the farthest thing in the world from home for a lot of us.
And it's probably bad for it to feel like home, but
that's true. But it does allow us to, I think for a lot of people too, it allows you to kind of be somebody different than what you are at home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whether you're a married man with kids, living the normal family life, arguing over, what you're having for dinner that night. And then all of a sudden in Vegas, you're living it up, dining at 5-star restaurants and taking limos everywhere and stuff like that. It's completely different, but it's an escape for a little bit at least.
Well, and on a really small level, it's like you might think twice about going to the movies because a movie with a family is going to cost you $100, $200. And in Vegas, you have your little budget. And Chris, you're looking at me funny.
What is going on out in Seattle that it cost you $200 to go see a movie?
Okay, let's say you're a family of 4 and a movie ticket's $21, right? you're all the way up to 80 and you buy popcorn and drinks for the kids, you're going to be getting close to 200.
Okay, I am a family of 4.
Right.
You're not, so I have firsthand experience over you in this situation. I take my kids to the movies all the time. And the average cost, I would say, by the time we get tickets, which are typically $10 to $12, not $20.
They aren't here.
Well, they are by me.
I mean, you got to sit in the car
stuff.
to watch, right?
Yeah, maybe it's $70, $75. It's not 200, but God, I'm not moving out to Washington State. I'll say that.
Anyway, my point is, we're a lot more willing to spend that same amount of money in the snap of a fingers in Las Vegas, whereas we might think twice about it at home.
Oh, absolutely. I do think that is true. Okay, I think that wraps it up for listener feedback this week, Josh. Let's keep it moving. Okay, like we said at the top of the episode, we have a lot of listener questions that we never have a chance to actually get to. So I thought it'd be good, Josh, this week just to catch up. Let's knock some of these things out, do some quick hitters, and just move along promptly.
Perfect. We got to get to Vegas.
We do. When this comes out, we will be in Vegas. We're going to be playing. At this point, we're actually trying to get things ready to get to Vegas on Friday. So trying to get some things arranged. But here we go, Josh.
Usually, Chris, it's me at the very beginning of the show that says, by the time as you're listening to this, we will be at the craps table on Sunday morning. And I totally forgot about that. Like if you're listening contemporaneously.
Yeah, you do that a lot. And I usually get mixed up on future items happening.
I totally forgot to do that.
And stuff like that.
We'd have to start the show all over again.
I'm growing so much as a podcast host at this point.
Right.
Okay, first off, we got a question from Jordan H. over on the CV Facebook group. He said, Josh, would you rather A, play 6 hours of blackjack and make $5,000, or B, play 6 hours of craps at a very fun table and break even?
Man, Jordan, that's a good one. Thanks for leaving that on the Facebook group. First part of me says I'd take the $5,000 in a second, of course. On the other hand, 6 hours at a blackjack table is a long time to sit there. I mean, I guess if you're winning over the course of time and you win $5,000, I mean, $5,000 is $5,000. So I probably, being truthful, would say play for 6 hours blackjack, take the $5,000, and then go play craps. But my heart says I'd rather play at a craps table and break even for 6 hours and have fun. What about you?
Here's where I struggle with it. I don't know what the $5,000 is supposed to imply from a win perspective. So is this a person that's buying in for $1,000 and winning $5,000 and going 5 times their money? So let's change the question, Josh, just to make it relevant to all listeners of the show.
Okay.
Let's say that whatever your normal buy-in, let's say you play for 6 hours and make 5 times your normal buy-in, or play 6 hours of craps and break even. Would that change your answer at all?
Well, my buy-in's going to be different at blackjack and crap. So I'm trying to think kind of.
Okay.
I think if it's 5 times my buy-in, whatever my buy-in is, I think honestly I would take the money. Even though I love the idea of playing craps at a fun table for that long and break it even, I think I'd still take the money.
Yeah, I struggled with this one. I know my buy-in on a blackjack table is usually around the same as my craps buy-in. So yeah, 5 times would be a massive hit.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be enough where I'd be pretty damn happy, even if I had to sit at a blackjack table for 6 hours. That sounds horrible. I've done it too many times in my life at this point. And being at a craps table, especially a fun craps table, for 6 hours and breaking even, hell, that's pretty much the goal every time we go on a trip.
Right?
I don't expect to win anything. I just want to break even. That'd be great. But if we're saying 5 times the buy-in, I'm going to go with the blackjack on this one.
Yeah.
Begrudgingly. But if it was truly just 5,000, I'd choose the craps option over and over and over again.
I guess that's true, right? Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Good question, though. Thank you. Question from Joyce on the CV Facebook group. With Cosmo fully part of MGM now, I'm wondering which hotel or casino will lose the greatest number of people that choose to switch their comps over to Cosmo. Josh, Bellagio, Aria, someplace else. Who do you think is going to lose the most here to Cosmo as a result of this change?
I think it's a great question, Joyce. I was thinking, first of all, I think for people that like the view of the fountains, Bellagio will probably lose some. But I think for people, like for clientele, I think for the type of guests that the properties cater to, I think it's more likely that those guests would come from the Aria side. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I think you're right in the later thinking there. I think that Cosmo caters to a younger demographic overall.
Right.
Aria caters to a younger demographic overall. I think you'd have some players bouncing from Aria over to Cosmo to experience that, to get the fountain views and all that stuff. Bellagio, I mean, it's all of them. It's an easy walk to get between the three of them. So, I mean, I don't think geographically it's going to matter too terribly much. But just taking a guess, I would say Aria is the most likely to lose a little bit.
Too.
But I think it's actually going to be more players coming from some of the lower level properties.
MGM Grand.
It's going to be people that stayed at MGM Grand and New York. Those guys that can get a city view, a city room there, maybe without a terrace. Maybe they can upgrade to one. I think it's going to be people that normally would never stay at Cosmo for pricing purposes that now have that opened up as a potential comp, especially during the week.
Yeah, I think you're right. And for those of you that aren't in the MGM rewards comp system stuff, MGM values Bellagio as far as comp purposes and our free play and our resort credit and stuff. MGM has values Bellagio and Aria the same, and they've folded Cosmo in at that top tier. So in MGM's eyes, and our offers at least, all three are the same. Not necessarily in what we get as far as suites and things like that, but as far as what we get in our free play, and specifically in our food and beverage, which varies. If we go down to Excalibur or Luxor, we get a lot more in food and beverage than we do. So MGM certainly considers those three to be equal in their comp offerings.
We received an email from Joe. Joe said, I'm in Vegas for work every 3 to 5 weeks, and I play a lot of craps and blackjack. I've gotten away from blackjack over the last few years because the rules are ridiculous on the Strip. Go to Treasure Island then. A few months ago, I went to a property off the Strip because I was jonesing for blackjack. I sit down at a double-deck table. I quickly realize I'm by far the biggest player on the floor, so I did dial it back. About 10 hands in, the dealer makes a mistake, causing the table to win. We all get paid. This was followed by 2 more instances of bad mistakes benefiting the players. So far, this sounds like a great story, Josh.
Sure does.
I chalked it up to a bad dealer. I've since played 5 or 6 more times, and every single time, it's more of the same. For instance, on a bonus bet that should have paid me 4-1, she was paying me 10-1 every time. I hit this bet at least 15 times and was paid wrong every single time. I was actually waiting for someone to call down. I want to play here all the time and take full advantage of this, but I'm a bit worried if I start to play it more heavily, more eyes will be on me and eventually it will stop. Some examples of what I personally benefited from other than the above are the dealer trying to count hands and a player saying the wrong total and they pay it out and hit again when they shouldn't, blatantly exposing hole cards, paying losing hands in general, paying winning hands twice, upon buying in, counting the chips wrong and giving people more chips than they just bought. It's so obvious I get nervous at times. I want to ride the gravy train, but also fly below the radar. Have you ever seen anything like this before? Josh, what is your experience on having a dealer that is just consistently making mistakes over and over and over again?
I don't know if I've had any that have been as bad as the one you described, Joe, but I've definitely had dealers make lots of mistakes. And quite frankly, I love it when that happens. I mean, I don't want the dealer to get disciplined or in trouble or that kind of thing. But for me, it's usually not that extreme, that many mistakes. Oftentimes, and we've talked about it, when it happens at the craps table, if somebody hands me the wrong amount of chips, usually I'll leave my hand out there for a little bit for them to kind of realize it or put them in a separate space on the rack or something like that to give the dealers or the camera or whatever time to catch up to it. But if nobody says anything, I'm more likely to just sit there and be happy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much the same way as you, Josh. If I see a dealer that's making generous errors in my favor over and over again, I'm going to try to play at that person's table as much as I possibly can. I mean, it's the plus EV thing to do here, right, Josh, from what I understand. No, you don't see too many people that are like this, but I will say, Josh, I think it's partially a function of where we play.
Yeah.
The better the property you play at, the less you see dealers making consistent mistakes. And when I was a bigger blackjack player, I would go to certain properties and try to sniff out the weaker dealers. If somebody's leaving their whole card exposed or anything like that, yeah, I'm going to do everything I can to take advantage of those situations. But it's been a long time since I've seen stuff like this. But if I was you, it's the same thing anytime a guy that's looking for a plus EV situation that pops up in their mind and they find something, hit it as hard as you possibly can for as long as you can. Do not worry about exposure. Do not worry about them being like, why does this guy keep playing at the table? It doesn't matter, because if you try to play less there, all you're doing is hurting yourself. Eventually it will stop. That employee's either going to get fired, he's going to quit, he's going to start dealing a different game. Who knows what it's going to be.
Yep.
But yeah, if you got a dealer like that, I would sit at their table for as long as humanly possible every time I'm there.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Chris and I often see it. I mean, I love going back to blackjack. I love it when a dealer miscounts your hand and thinks that you won
Sure.
when you busted or whatever the situation is. But at craps, I think I see it sometimes where a dealer, for whatever reason, will frequently pay, let's say you bought the 10 and they're paying you wrong, or more likely maybe the 9 or 5, and they're paying you over each time. And then you're like, you kind of repeat it as much as you can. Like, please let that 9 hit again, because that dealer has the wrong payout in their head for this particular moment for whatever reason.
Oh yeah, it happens on line bets a lot, especially with full odds.
Yeah.
You'll just get and especially if it's like a weird number, if it's not like a quarter on the line with full odds, if it's like $40 on the line, they'll do the math wrong, and it's great
and
when
just
that
repeat
happens.
it, right?
Yeah, the only thing I really see consistently on craps tables is we have a lot of dealers, and I understand most of them, not all, most of them are doing this on purpose. Dealers that you've been tipping well, that like you, there's a tendency, like if a hard way is supposed to fall, for them to just forget to take it down and leave it up for you. Things like that happen a decent amount, more than it should. But yeah, you just don't see stuff like that on craps tables as much, I don't think.
I don't either.
We received a question from Timmy over on the CV Facebook group. I was playing crapless Friday night at Harris Cherokee Casino. Shooter was rolling very well and was making the table some good money. He threw the dice on a roll, and one shot up and hit a patron in the arm and bounced back into play.
I've been
roll
there.
Was a 3. Yeah, many times. Roll was a 3, but dealer said no roll since it hit a player.
Ooh.
Note 3 would have been an awesome roll because it's a crapless table, Josh. A few rolls later, he throws the dice, and the same base dealer had her hand out in the area play, was pulling them back. One of the dice hit her arm, and of course a 7 came when the dice fell, Josh. What did the box say? Roll counts, 7 out. Table was livid. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, thanks, Timmy. I think for those that aren't craps players, the general rule is that a die can hit anything, person, dealer, whatever, and as long as that action doesn't artificially influence the roll of the die. So if the dice hits me as another player, if I don't push my hand out to push that die back, if it just hits my chest and falls onto the table, same thing if a dealer's hand is in action, even though it sucks if it hits the dealer's hand and they're reaching out for chips or whatever, as long as the dealer doesn't react and do anything to cause that die to move differently, it's in play. And I think it sucks when the roll comes and it makes it a 7 or a 7 out or whatever. But I think that's a fair way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but do you get his complaint though, Josh?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
When it was a good number, they're saying no roll. When it's a bad number, they're saying, yeah, it's a great roll.
Yes, the inconsistency is what's the problem there. That first one, if it hit a person and the person didn't do anything, if it just bounced back into play, it should still be a legit live roll.
Yeah. No, and we've talked about similar situations, not necessarily involving it hitting people, but a lot of time, like on cruise ships, Josh, you see this a lot, because cruise ships, for whatever reason, seem to require you to hit the back wall of the table, or it's a no roll every time. Both dice have to hit the back wall. But then all of a sudden, one dice doesn't hit the back wall, a 7 falls, and they're like, yeah, it's a roll.
Right.
I hate the inconsistency. If you're going to have a stupid rule like this, then it better work both ways, for and against the player.
But your example, Timmy, it shouldn't have been a no roll on that 3 as long as the person didn't do anything to influence the die.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Josh, let's take a break here for a second. When we come back, we will answer some more listener questions, and I'm sure you're going to spin that big wheel, so stick around.
I just might.
Hey, podcast lovers, looking to elevate your show? Dive into Fiverr, the ultimate marketplace for freelancers. Whether you need stunning graphics, top-notch audio editing, or creative marketing help, Fiverr connects you with experts ready to bring your vision to life. With thousands of talented professionals at your fingertips, you'll find exactly what you need to make your podcast shine. Ready to take your show to the next level? Visit crapvegas.com/Fiverr today to get your next project started. That's crapvegas.com/FIVERR.
Hey, Chris, Zorkfest is coming November 1st through 3rd, 2024 at Horseshoe Las Vegas this year, and I'm really looking forward to it. Zorkfest is a conference featuring well-known presenters talking about how to maximize your travel using points and miles worldwide and in your favorite casino destinations like Las Vegas. They're going to have lots of great speakers, including Gary Leff and Anthony Curtis, and they've just added an awesome sponsor, Herradura Tequila. I had to look up how to pronounce that. Who's adding lots of fun surprises and giveaways.
And you're hosting a craps lab where people can learn to play craps from you and all of our friends over at You Can Bet on That, Dr. Mike and Mark, right?
That's right. And Anthony Curtis is hosting a blackjack lab for anyone that wants to learn about that game, all without real money and in a nice, safe, nurturing environment.
I don't know how safe craps is with you, with the way you throw dice at the table, but I get it. It does sound like fun.
It will be. And it's still not too late to get in on the early bird pricing. For $100 off the standard ticket price, just go to travelzork.com/ZorkFest. Early bird ticket prices are available until August 31st for $100 off the standard ticket price. That's travelzork.com/ZorkFest. Hope we see lots of you there.
You guys have a good time. And we're back. Josh, we received an email from Denise. After most of my trips to casinos, I get an email with a request to complete a survey. Do you guys spend the time to complete them? How detailed do you get? Do you think anybody really reads them? And do casinos actually care what we say?
I do respond to them, Denise. Thanks for your question. I do respond to them. I think I probably do it 90% of the time. I'm pretty good about it. Sometimes I forget and get bogged down in work when I come home or whatever and don't do it. But I'm pretty good about it. And for me, because I'm not one of those people that tends to look for problems or flaws or things like that, it's not usually a complaint type situation as much as me trying to remember all the people that I want to call out nicely. You know, I try and remember as many dealer names as I can. I try and remember whoever it is, valet or front desk person, and talk about the great experiences I had, or my host if it's a great experience. So it's usually that. I don't normally get a response back on the nice stuff like that, but every once in a while, if I do have a problem that I point out, that's when oftentimes I hear back. I'll hear back asking about it, especially, I was going to say maybe at nicer properties, but I've heard back even at lower tier properties if I point out something. How about you, Chris? I know you fill them out too.
Yeah, I always fill them out. And I think it just depends on who you're filling it out for. So if it's like a Vegas property, I always fill it out. I list all the people that I interacted with that I had a positive experience. If I have a bad situation, I'll mention it just so they're aware of the situation. But I typically don't expect any sort of response on Vegas properties.
Right.
Now, if we're talking about a local property, I think these I call them comment cards, but they're just electronic surveys. But I think they are tremendously important. And if you talk to employees at those properties, they're going to tell you the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I get firsthand responses almost every time I fill out a comment card with any sort of comment. I can tell you I have walked into numerous local casinos after leaving a positive remark about a dealer or a floor or something like that. And they will individually find me the next visit and be like, thank you so much for leaving that review. I get XYZ. And if you get this many, you get a bonus. And I mean, those responses do matter. And those employees can get better shifts. They can get bonuses. There's a lot of things they can get from you leaving them positive feedback so the casino knows. So absolutely go out of your way to leave positive feedback if you have it for an employee or a cashier or anything. It doesn't matter. Front desk agent, whoever you happen to like, please leave their name. Make a note in your phone of who you dealt with. It's just so you don't forget. And on the opposite side of that, Josh, and Josh knows this because I share it all the time, if I leave any sort of negative comment about my local properties or anything like that, I get a call or an email back typically within a few hours. And if it's a local property, it usually comes from the table games manager asking, hey, what was the issue? What can we do better?
Right.
And I can even tell you from firsthand experience at one of my local properties I love, Belterra, I'd mentioned to them one thing I don't like about their property is they typically only have the crapless table open during the day, and the traditional craps table only opens at night on the weekends. And they took that feedback to heart when I said, I think that's a problem. They've now started reaching out to me proactively like, hey, Chris, let me know next time you're coming up. We'll make sure that table's open and we'll save you a spot at the table so you're ready to go. And I think they'll do that for almost any player if you just share a concern and they want to help because they want you to come back. So yes, absolutely. Fill out the comment cards, let them know what you think, and they are very beneficial to the casinos to get those.
Absolutely. And even in Vegas, I mean, they make a huge difference to employees. I can't tell you how many times we've had dealers mention that those comments do mean something to them, whether they get, I think our favorite dealer at Wynn, Rick, has this little 7 stars pin or whatever it is that he wears.
Sure.
for, having been recognized a whole bunch. And it means a lot to dealers. And it's fun. I mean, think about it at your own job. When you get recognition, especially from somebody outside the company, it just feels really good.
Absolutely. And every time I see those stars on their nameplate when we're at Win, Josh, all I can think of is like, oh, look, they're like a Cracker Barrel server here. And she's got 3 stars. Good for her. Finally, Josh, we got an email from Mark. He said, you all play at a lot of higher end casinos when in Vegas. Do you find that the level of player is different at those properties? And specifically, he asks, like comparing like a Wynn to an Excalibur, here's what he asks. Is the etiquette better?
Well, from a player standpoint, I think it can be, and these are going to be generalities, Mark, and thanks for the question. I think it can be. It's easy to say, sure, a player at Wynn is going to have better etiquette than a player at Excalibur, but I don't think that's always true, and it kind of depends on what you're going for, the vibe that you're going for. There are oftentimes different types of gamblers, people with higher bankrolls, and they're going to be oftentimes dressed differently and that kind of stuff. But it kind of depends on what you're looking for. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm any less likely to have somebody try and buy in the middle of a roll. Maybe a little less likely, but it happens at Wynn just like it happens at Excalibur and that kind of thing. I think the nicest thing is you don't get, if you're playing at higher limit tables and a place like Wynn or maybe Venetian Palazzo, but really high end properties, you get less of the buying in and buying in for $25, placing one field bet and leaving. I think you get less of that. Get people that are buying in for more. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think etiquette, it doesn't matter where you're playing. There are plenty of $100,000 assholes that buy into a game at Wynn mid-roll just as easily as they do at Excalibur with $100. It's just all economies of scale. But he had a couple other things, Josh. Next, do players understand the game more playing at a place like Wynn versus Excalibur? Do you think the players are more experienced?
Yes, again, with some caveats, but I think that somebody that buys in at a $50 table or a $100 table more likely to know the game. At a place that's a $10 table or a $15 table, you might get somebody that's never played craps before, puts $100 down, and just wants to see what happens. So you might get a little more of that, but you get brand new players that win too.
Oh yeah, I mean, same thing. Economies of scale for them. Buying in for $5,000 may not be a big deal, even if they are a new player. So I don't think that players understand the game that much better at places like Wynn. There's still newbies every day when you play there.
And I think that part of the appeal for me and for Chris is at a place like Wynn is, and we'll talk a little bit about dealers, but I think part of it is also we like to play at not full tables, and we're more likely to get a little bit more space at a table at a place like Wynn than we would at a place like Excalibur. It's not so much the type of person we're playing with as much as it's just maybe we'll get a little more space at a table.
Mark asks, do mistakes happen less at a nicer property?
Well, I think this is kind of what I was getting at. Yes, in a way, you get mistakes everywhere. But I mean, the trajectory of a dealer's career, especially in Vegas, but they start out at maybe an off-strip place or Fremont Street, and they work their way up. And the goal for most dealers, not all of them, but is to get to some of those nicer properties. So oftentimes they're dealers that have a lot of experience. Maybe that makes them grumpy old people, but it means that they're usually good at their job as far as payouts and things like that. So I think you see, again, it's hit and miss sometimes, but you see less mistakes on average. I see a lot more mistakes when I'm playing at Golden Gate downtown than I ever do at Wynn, for example.
Yeah, for sure. And I think his final question kind of wraps it up well, Josh. Does it feel different playing at a property like Wynn versus Excalibur? And this one I will jump in on and say, yes, it feels completely different playing at a place like that. Maybe it's a factor of having more money in play than you do at the other places, so people are taking it a little bit more seriously. But the vibe is completely different, at least in my eyes, playing on, say, a $50 table versus playing on a $5 table.
Yeah, very different. And not to say one is better or another. You got to find what fits your bankroll and fits the right vibe for you. Some people can't stand playing at a place like Wynn because they're just the people are stuffy or whatever it is. And they'd much rather play at a park or something like that.
Yeah, completely understand. So I think that's going to wrap it up for listener questions this week. Josh, let's talk about Patreon. Patreon.com/crapvegas. Josh, what's new over there?
Well, last episode, we kind of had to cheat a little bit because I was out of town. So we did another one of usually we wouldn't do our CVTVs back to back. Chris and I are watching the show Casino Confidential, which is currently streaming on Amazon Prime. And giving our commentary and thoughts on Vegas and Binions and all the fun that's going on as we're watching. So this next Patreon episode, this next CVP show, I expect might be one of my favorite things where we dive into casino earnings talk a little bit. We'll see.
The earnings call episodes are fan favorites now. So I'm excited about that. Don't forget, Josh, we have the draft coming up for the Fantasy Football League that we started for our patrons.
Yes, we do. And for our patrons that have signed up for that, I haven't forgotten you. I haven't sent an email out to those that are joining the leagues yet, but that's coming. And our drafts are probably going to be the 27th and 28th of August.
Jeez, what a horrible commissioner you are, Josh.
I know. It's the best. If we have the draft, that'll be a win.
Okay, we did get asked, Josh, by a bunch of people if we're doing a Survivor contest again, like we did last year. I haven't done anything with it yet, but the answer is yes. We absolutely will do another one. Everybody seemed to really like that. Anybody that's a patron will be eligible to get into that at no cost. Give me a week or so and I'll get you information on it, but I think that will be a lot of fun too.
Perfect. I'm sure I'll forget to send my Survivor pick in by week 3 and I'll be out.
Yep, that's usually what happens because I killed you last year. I think I was like
because I forgot.
4th or 5th at the end left. But we'll see how it goes this year. Big thank you to everybody that signed up over the past couple weeks. That's D Stack, Larry B, Neil S, Amanda K, Yo for the Ho. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on here. Yo for the Ho. That's a good one. Natalie C with an annual membership. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you, Natalie.
And a big ice cream lover, it appears, Josh, Mint Chip 04, who is a KCS patron.
Or it's a chip collector who likes, mint chips.
Okay, either one. But thank you to everybody that signed up the past couple weeks. We do appreciate it.
Are you a mint chocolate chip ice cream person, Chris?
No, I'm actually not. I'm not huge on chocolate in general, and I don't really like mint. So put those two together, and that's a no for me.
Interesting. I'm not either. We've never talked about
this is critical information that listeners have been waiting for years at this point.
I've never been a mint chocolate chip fan either. I don't know why. I like mint fine. I like chocolate fine. I've never liked them together.
Okay, fair enough.
Riveting.
Yeah, very. Upcoming trips. Josh, when this comes out, as we mentioned, we'll be in Vegas, so awesome for that. Do you have anything planned over the next couple months after this trip, Josh?
Well, I have Zorkfest coming up beginning of November, and theoretically that should be the next trip I take. That said, I did get a nice offer from Wynn that might calm me down for a little midweek trip. There's a little teeny possibility that Chris and I could have an overlapping midweek trip to Wynn if the stars were aligned properly. Chris is looking at me like, what are you talking about, Josh?
Yeah, Josh hasn't mentioned this to me at all. So
I think, I'm going to say there's a 5% chance that could happen.
I would say that sometime in the month of September or early October, there's a 90% chance I end up at Wynn.
Yes.
Especially because I have a birthday offer from Wynn for some bonus free play. So that would be nice to take advantage of.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Our offers align.
But when would I be there midweek, Josh? Does that sound like me at all?
Every once in a while?
No, not really.
No? All right.
Okay, well, we'll see. But anyways, friendly reminder, subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcasting app and to visit our merch store. That's crapvegas.com/shop. As a small thank you to all our listeners, we are now offering 15% off all store purchases until the end of the month, until August 31st. But you got to use promo code SAVE15. That's SAVE15 to get 15% off. And more importantly, Josh, for all those people I made wait for a little while, all of our hoodie sizes are back in. Our CV Coffee Dice Crap Vegas hoodie is back in stock in all sizes. So get your order in before they sell out. And I will warn you that if your size is a XL or 2XL, they typically disappear within about 2 weeks. So you got a very short period of time. Take advantage of the promo code and see what you can do. Okay, big wheel time, Josh. Let's do it.
All right, Chris, here we go.
It's time to spin the Crap Vegas Big Wheel. Are you ready? Josh, spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel.
Oh, Chris, here's one that I don't know if you know about this. You're a big documentary guy. Are you familiar with the documentary of Cirque du Soleil Without a Net on Amazon?
No, I must admit, Josh, until we started watching Casino Confidential, I've never watched anything on Amazon.
Really?
Yeah, just never.
There's all sorts of good documentaries on Amazon. So this is one that I found out about. It's Cirque du Soleil Without a Net. It's a documentary on Amazon. Came out, I want to say maybe July of this year, and it looks at how Cirque du Soleil had to reboot O after the pandemic.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and I thought it was, they gave like unprecedented access to backstage stuff and behind the scenes of the highs and lows of bringing O back from, oblivion and potential extinction. I thought that was interesting.
I might have to check that out at some point. Is O your favorite Cirque show?
We talked about it before, but I loved Zumanity. I think as far as the regular Cirque du Soleil shows, O is probably my favorite. I like the water stuff. I know it puts some people to sleep, but what do you think?
I think you and I are the only two people that like Zumanity. It's what I'm starting to believe. I really did like that show.
So did I.
Yeah, I think O is my favorite out of the existing Cirque shows.
I've been told that I have to give Ka another try after I said Ka was not my favorite, and some of the people on our Facebook group said, you've got to see Ka again.
I don't think so, Josh. The couple times I've seen it, it's right up there with Awakening. I put them in the same boat.
Anyway, quick first wheel spin. Shall I spin it again?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, Chris, this is an interesting one. I was perusing what we might do for shows in Las Vegas if we decided we wanted to see another show. And I found another daytime show. So we've talked all about Matt King.
Okay, I only know of one other show.
What's the one you know? Potted Potter?
Potter.
No, this is one. It's at the Miracle Mile shops. And I'm going to read you exactly what the description is. This show has gone to the dogs and cats, featuring everyday pets doing extraordinary things. The Popovich Comedy Pet Theater is the cutest show on the Las Vegas Strip. You'll see dogs, cats, doves, and other animals act out scenarios like passengers waiting to board a train, students in a classroom, and patients waiting to be seen by a doctor.
Wow.
What do you think? You want to go see Popovich Comedy Pet Theater?
You got these tickets already, or are we lined up now?
Well, I think we just might have to. It runs at 2:30 in the afternoons. It's at the V Theater at the Miracle Mile shops. The tickets are only like $25.
I mean, that's the same theater we saw Zombie Burlesque in. So, I mean, the theater's nice enough.
What do you think?
I don't know how I feel about it.
I think
I'd rather see
theater.
I'd rather see Potted Potter, I think, if you're giving me an option between the two. But, okay.
If anybody's gone to see the Popovich Comedy Pet Theater, let us know, because I'm genuinely when I read that, I was like, what the heck is that? And I want to know how it is. Would it be, I'm assuming it's family friendly. It has to be family friendly.
It sounds like a show they would do out of the back of the van right next to Love It Frozen Custard.
Really?
I feel like that's what this is.
It's got 30 pets. The guy's got 30 pets in it, though. It's got to be a pretty big, doing gymnastics and juggling. I mean, I don't know how you get a cat to juggle, but jump rope routines, all that kind of stuff. He was on America's Got Talent, I think.
I'm sure he was. Why don't we just split up next trip, Josh? You go there, I'll go to Potted Potter, and then we'll have even more content for the listeners.
There we go. That's what I got for the wheel today.
Okay, perfect. Anything else, Josh, we got before we get out of here?
No, last thing, Chris, are you excited? We haven't talked about it yet. I know you're not even sure if you can get in, but are you wanting to stay at Cosmo one of these trips when we go, now that it's folded into the MGM portfolio?
Not really.
No?
I've stayed there so many times at this point that I don't have this big desire to get back over there and stay. Not to mention, I keep hearing that their rooms are really run down compared to the way they used to be. So no, I'm not really pushed to stay there. And you know me, I like to play where I stay. And Cosmo's not a place I'd want to give the predominant amount of my play.
Yeah, I was thinking about it for this very trip that we're on today, as a matter of fact. I thought you were
going to, honestly.
I looked at what was available. I could have gotten a nice wraparound terrace room, but I can get Sky Suites at Aria. And I thought to myself, of the two, kind of given what you said and what other people have said as far as needing to be renovated, I'd rather stay in the Sky Suites room.
See, I don't know. I don't care as much about the room as you do usually. That doesn't bother me as much. And the wraparound terrace suites are spectacular. Those balconies really are really cool. But again, if you're not going to play there, then no, I definitely wouldn't do it. So
that's the
I
other
guess
thing,
we'll be interested to hear next episode. Did Josh change his mind at the last second and end up at Cosmo?
Pretty sure unless I find out for sure beforehand that Poshburger is closed, that could be the deal breaker.
Okay, fair enough. So thank you all for listening this week. We really do appreciate it. Hopefully we got to see some of you while we were in Vegas this weekend. If not, Josh is still around for a couple days. You got a chance to go shake hands and meet the legend himself. But if not, We appreciate you listening, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Yeah, that's right. I'll be there, Coffee Dice on Monday and probably Tuesday morning, Monday morning for sure. So thanks for listening, everybody. And like Chris said, hopefully we saw you or will see you or might see you. Bye-bye.
Vegas, here we come.
Thanks for listening to the Crap Vegas podcast.
Have you ever been to Vegas?
Check out all our recent news and our Vegas trip calendar by visiting crapvegas.com.
See you in Vegas.
Those are the
Hey,
ones
podcast.
Sorry. That's wouldn't be usual if I didn't interrupt you right as we're starting the ads. And they've just added an awesome spot. Awesome. Almost had it.
You were almost there. Keep going.
Hang on. I had to look up how to pronounce the tequila company. And they've just added an awesome sponsor, And wait, I'm cutting this out.
I'm trying to help you here. Oh my God. Herradura?
Herradura, right. Obviously, anything on Fremont Street. You could pick any downtown property for, well, not for
It's a strip access.
Shut up. I'm going to cut that part out.
Okay. Okay. Ready?
No.
Okay, no. It just stops. I wasn't even really listening, but it sounded insightful. So
No. I may splice in another answer of yours that sounds more enthusiastic.
that's great, Josh.
Thank you. There you go.
Okay.
One sec. I had a thought and I totally forgot what it was.
Can we insert the match game music here while you're thinking?
That would it be the
I don't know. I'm just guessing. I think that's what it sounds like.
Get ready to match the star. Orson Dean, Brett Summers, Charles Nelson Riley, Dr. Joyce Brothers, Richard Dawson, and Betty White as we play the star-studded Big Money Match Game 74. And now here's the star of Match Game 74.